Hi, Justin the Change Artist here. You're watching Power, Passion, Purpose on Rise Above TV. We're about to talk to Rick, CEO of Think Botanicals. Hey, Justin the Change Artist here, sitting with Rick Martinez. Rick, thanks for joining me.
Hey Justin, it's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Heck yeah. We've got a lot of fun stuff to cover. How did we go from U.S. Army nurse to CEO of Think Botanicals?
Man, I spent some time as a reserve in the U.S. Army. I went to nursing school in the mid-90s. And it was right after 9/11 that I felt compelled to go back into the service.
Gotcha.
So I was enlisted in the 80s. So long story short is I went to nursing school, got my 4-year nursing degree, and then just a few years after graduation, 9/11 happened, and I rose my right hand and went back in as an Army nurse. And so was promptly activated and did an 18-month tour. And I already owned a business before the Army activated me. So I was already an entrepreneur in business, and having been an entrepreneur, the cannabis craze, rush, the thing that it's doing, the wellness properties, it was the logical step for me. Being a healthcare provider, having been in business before, I just essentially combined the two. A lot more to that, but that's the high level. I'm still a nurse at this time.
Okay, cool. Do you still practice?
No, haven't practiced since 2007. It's been a while. In a sense, we're still practicing. Just a different type of wellness.
For sure. Super wellness, I think you call it, right?
Super wellness, yes.
Yeah. Tell us more about that.
You know, it's nobody wants average. I have yet to meet a person, man or woman, athlete or not, old or young, skinny or fat, who wants to be average. Yeah. And yet, a lot of times, generally, we're okay with average. We're okay. And I'm not speaking for everybody, this is generally. Yeah. And wellness equates to being average. You know, I don't want to go to the doctor and meet my minimal weight requirement. I don't want to get my blood drawn and say, yeah, I'm right in that range. I want to be better. Gotcha. You know, I don't just want to be well, I want to be super well. And we have the capacity and the ability as humans to be super well. Gotcha. And so that's really all I'm referring to, and I'm just like, there's too many people who are preaching wellness, it's blah. I don't want to be well. I want to be better than well. I want to be super well. Gotcha.
I'm sure that's some of the Army in you too, coming out a little like, I want to exceed expectations a little bit.
Yeah, you know, the Army did give me a lot of discipline, the military, especially basic training in the 80s, but a lot of that drive comes from it comes from my upbringing. It comes from what my parents said, and playing sports and just going to school. You know, who wants to fail? But a big portion of it comes from the discipline that I had in boot camp.
For sure. Sounds like it sounds like a lot went into Think Botanicals, and you know, it made it more than just the next business step. I mean, you got the super wellness, which sounds like you're really passionate about it. A lot of what was instilled in you as a kid really kind of drove it. I know you have the Think acronym. Tell us about that. What's going on with Think? What that means?
Yeah. So the name Think Botanicals. One would have to really sit down and figure out that we're referring to a CBD store or a cannabis retailer or wholesaler. Gotcha. So the word think, simply, I'm looking at it as we're talking, it can signify so much more. Gotcha. Think about your next 10 years of life. You know, think about how you're going to approach super wellness. Think about yourself from a health and wellness perspective. And so as we teased it out, we're like, you know, it's so versatile, the word think. And as such, and as a business owner, my iPad closed, so I'm going to look at it. It's one of those iPads that has facial recognition. So
nice. I've been watching you play with it too. I'm like, dude,
it's all fancy.
High speed, low driving.
Yeah, high speed. That's a military term. So Army right there.
Marine Corps actually, but still.
Marine Corps. Hey, Semper Fi, do or die, right?
Yeah.
So as a business owner and just life in general, we have certain words or mantras, call them values, call them core values that drive us. I have personal core values in my life, not related to business, that I adhere by. They're my non-negotiables, and that's faith, family, freedom, fitness. But the reason, which you asked us about think, so the word think is our acronym for our company core values.
Gotcha.
So it's not just a cool word and something on our Instagram wall or our logo, but it actually stands for something. I wrote them down, and I wrote them down. They're on our website too, and these are non-negotiables for our company. The core of our movement to launch and create and drive folks towards super wellness. And it stands for trust, health, integrity, natural, and knowledge. And behind each of those words, which spell the word think, it stands for part of the ethos of Think Botanicals, of the company and what we stand for.
With everything that went into Think Botanicals as a company and as a mission and as a statement, it really contrasts to what we're seeing pop up in smoke shops, which is companies that are really kind of trying to capitalize on what the stigma that's already out there with it, looking like flour and pre-rolls and stuff like that. What are some of the things that Think Botanicals has done to separate itself from that image?
That's a great question. So we like to call that our unique value proposition. And that's our UVP, if you will. I'm big in acronyms, as you can tell. It helps us remember things. So the unique value proposition, or the distinctions between Think and everybody else, is that we're not a CBD company. That's the first thing.
Gotcha.
So we don't advertise as the best CBD because the consumer doesn't know Adam from Eve in that department, honestly, at this point in time.
Yeah.
We don't advertise as we have the coolest branding or labeling.
Gotcha.
Because the industry is so new, you can't make the distinction. If you said Porsche or Ford, your mind immediately goes to something.
Yeah.
Not good or bad, just we can differentiate.
Yeah.
But in this industry, it's so new.
You don't know the difference.
Nobody knows the difference.
Yeah.
So what makes us very distinct, and the hammer that we smash every single day, is first and foremost our crew, the team, our Canapros, the people who are each and every day at the front lines on the mission, the movement of super wellness. That being said, we have a very distinct culture and language. We don't have retail associates. The Apple Store has that. Target has that. But our movement is comprised of a team of individuals who are locked arms, moving this global wellness needle forward in a big way. That's one of our most unique, one of our UVPs.
Gotcha.
Is first and foremost, like Herb Keller from Southwest Airlines said, it's about our people.
Yeah.
First and foremost, our people. Our people, and you heard this from me, before our clients.
Gotcha.
And I stand by that. Second biggest thing is we own our own lab. And that's a claim that very, very few companies...
Here in Texas. I mean, here in San Antonio, in
San
town.
Antonio, yes.
Awesome.
So we have our own manufacturing and production facility. And it's got all the three-lettered ISO 9000 and all the things around it. But what that means is we have a quality control that is second to none.
Yeah.
So we bring in the biomass and the oils from farms. We have contracts in Oregon and Colorado. And our lab takes the raw product, and anything with Think on it, this brand logo, we have produced here.
Right.
So it's an unprecedented level of QA and QC. And you don't find that much.
Yeah.
And what that means underneath that, so forget that we have a cool lab or we have cool branded folks that were the staff.
It sounds to me like more than just hopping on the craze, riding the wave. You wanted to build a company that didn't just sell it, but educated the market on it, and that it's not just a craze.
Whole new level.
You know what I mean? But you wanted to be close enough to the information that you got the lab here, you manufacture it here, and you got Canapros. I know talking to Brian, I had a lot of technical questions I was going to ask you, and I had a lecture, I know so much more now because of it, so Canapro is a perfect name. It's about as far from the stigma as you can get, especially when you're not just reselling some stuff, you're not just getting from a middle guy, you're making it right here. Your hands are on it, you're looking at it. There's a certain percentage of THC I think these products are allowed to have because it's like hard to get it all out or something like that, right? And whatever that regulation is, I think Botanicals is actually beneath that, right?
Yeah, legally, with any company, for CBD to be sold, it has to be below 0.3% of THC. And THC is the part of the cannabis plant that causes that gets you high.
Gotcha.
So, and to be clear, we aren't the only ones. There's other quality CBD companies that produce legal legal products that are under the 0.3%. But yes, we're well under. In fact, our two distinct lines, as we see them here, our full spectrum and our isolate. Our isolate is 0.00%. Our full spectrum, this batch, is actually 0.00. So.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yes. We're not the
only ones.
There are other really good companies.
Yeah. Let me be clear there too, because you're right. You're right. Absolutely right. You're not the only one, but to do it so close to home is what gets me excited.
Yes.
So when I mentioned that, it's like you're right here in Texas. It's about as direct as you can get, and I think it sends a real strong message, not just about CBD, but about the community that you're trying to build and the image companies are trying to get away from as they build one for themselves. So yes. Not the only ones. There's other companies doing great things, but this one's in my city, in my state, so it gets a little added. Boost. I think Botanicals has a lot going on in terms of growth, expansion, the products and everything you're putting out. Right. What can you tell us about that?
It's a stressful but very exciting time, and the goal of any, at least in my opinion, the goal of any for-profit business is to grow responsibly and ethically. And that's without a doubt something we have our sights set on in 2019, is growth. And not just within our current footprint here in San Antonio, 4 stores, but even outside of the city. So we're currently looking to expand into going up north towards Austin, and then even further north, the DFW area, and then back over to Houston towards the east. So we indeed plan on we have expansion plans, and I think that's probably the part that occupies, among everything else in life, a big chunk of my daily existence is thinking about the growth and where we're headed.
Well, with all the good you're having, with all the good you're doing with Think Botanicals, it sounds like a really good problem to have.
It is.
But in the midst of all that, right, it really is all about your super wellness, maintaining your zen. What are some things you do to help keep that level of balance in the middle of everything you're doing?
Yeah, the firestorm called life, right?
Yeah.
So
trigger word.
Three grown kids, wife, almost 2 decades together, business, all those things, maintaining balance. As close to balance as one might expect it's important. In fact, it's critical.
Yeah.
So I personally do a variety of things. Obvious exercise, and I try to eat well. Generally speaking, it's difficult in this fast-paced society. But I've been a consumer of CBD now for several years myself, and it has without a doubt kept me on a more even keel than I've ever experienced. And that's a factual statement. I'm not just saying I feel better. I'm speaking as a nurse, not as a physician, but years and years ago I had a panic attack. And I'm distilling the story down, but as an ER trauma nurse, I thought that I was having a heart attack. And so EMS, the whole 9 yards, my wife came home, and we're both ER nurses. And I thought, this is it. This is the big one. It was that bad. And when it was all said and done and went to the ER and everything was cleared, cardiac-wise, the doctor said, "Rick, you had a significant panic attack." And I promptly said, "No, I didn't. I mean, we don't have panic attacks. Life is, there's too much going on for me to panic about stuff." But the hard reality was that it was a panic attack. And with that diagnosis came about 4 different prescription meds. And those prescription meds, and I am not anti-Western medicine at all. I'm a believer. I think there's a lot of good that comes out of modern day pharmaceuticals and physicians and practices, but it's without a doubt, those prescription medications, they really mess with me. I was not able to perform at the level that I needed to as an entrepreneur and as a father and husband, and it was noticeable. And CBD changed that for me. And it wasn't overnight. It was a gradual kind
Absolutely.
of, I'll use the word weaning, and that's my word. I'm not recommending that to anybody, but I've not taken any of those prescription management meds. Some of them are heavy duty, and CBD changed that for me. So It's not just something that it's not just our business or our ethos or our mission statement or core values. This is, I'm a consumer myself and have been, not just a consumer, but an advocate for that CBD should be a part of our daily existence.
Since the recording of this P3 episode, Rick Martinez is no longer the CEO of Think Botanicals. He is now leading Texas's first cannabis business accelerator program, Green Seed Cannabis Company. The program is designed to responsibly, ethically, and authentically help early-stage cannabis companies scale. Learn more at www.greenseedcannabisco.com. Thank you for watching Rise Above TV.